Good evening, everybody. I will call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. And ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Suffredin? Here. Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Rogers? Here. Councilmember Harris?
Here.
Councilmember Kelly? Here. Councilmember Harris?
Present.
Councilmember Isles?
Here.
Mayor Biss?
Here.
Chair Nusma?
I am also here. A quorum being
Councilmember
present.
Burns?
Oh, I'm sorry.
He is not yet.
Councilmember Burns, we expect online, so when he does pop up online, we'll take a vote at that time to allow him to participate remotely. So I do want to establish some expectations right now that I hope we can get through this agenda fairly expeditiously. We do have an executive session after the open meeting concludes, and I am hoping we can all get home in 2 hours and 35 minutes to see the Cubs game, because I know that's particularly important to Councilmember Harris. So let's just launch right into it. And we have 3 folks signed up for public comment. Mr. Barini in person. We have Steve Slager and Mary Rosinski online.
So I guess I can go first then?
Yeah,
This is
we're going to go with
Steve.
Mr. Barini first, and then
Okay.
we'll go to the online folks.
Great. So with 3 of
Thank
us, that means we each get 15 minutes tonight, right?
If you could
Nice try.
be succinct, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Jeff Barini, Second Ward. I don't have a couple of things to do. One is to again hit on the importance of public comment here. I know that it can be tedious for you, and I know that the real work gets done in meetings with residents and through emails, but sometimes emails are not answered. And one thing that residents can look forward to is they know you will be here. They know this is a place they can look you in the eye and say what they have to say, and you know, get your attention. And most importantly, it's on the record as well too. So if they need to feel that they want to state something, get it on the record, this is the place they can do it. The other issue to address, more germane to your business this evening, is that the local press this morning were reporting a consideration of 2/3 majority for deciding upon an acting mayor, and I support that position. I think that it's better for all of you, and it's better for residents. As you may know, as you deal with all the time, some of the thornier issues you discuss and have to vote upon are frequently decided on a split vote of 5-4. And that's not the best thing when choosing an acting mayor. I think it's worthwhile to go the extra distance, to talk among yourselves and decide on that 2/3 majority to get to 7 people. Think of it like voting for the Pope, okay? You know, it's going to take you a few extra passes there before the white smoke comes out, but I think I have full confidence in the ability of you to reach that decision. And we will all wait anxiously for that. But please give that serious consideration, and I hope you move in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll now go to Mr. Slager online.
Thank you. My name is Steve Slagert. I want to comment on the power of the office of mayor that has been granted both a tie-breaking city council vote while also having veto power to override a council vote. The mayor, I believe, serves as the de facto chief executive of the city. As such, I believe the office of mayor should be granted veto powers, but not be granted the power to vote directly on a matter brought before the city council. The power to hold a tie-breaking vote on the city council and to hold a veto right puts too much power in the hand of a single office. I believe voters have empowered only the elected council members to vote on matters brought before the council. I'm concerned that the city has granted the office of mayor to have both a tie-breaking council vote and veto powers, and I'm hoping that the Rules Committee can rectify this by rescinding the mayor's ability to provide a tie-breaking vote. Perhaps a tie council vote does in fact reflect the will of the city and may be an indication to the council to go back to the drawing board to draft a proposal that would then receive a majority of council member votes. That's the end of my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll let the record reflect that Councilmember Davis has joined the chat. And for our third and last member of the public, Mary Rosinski.
Hi, thank you very much. Well, I do agree with Mr. Barini and Mr. Slater. I was disappointed last time to hear how little some council members like public comment, and I understand it, but we don't get to reach all of you, as Mr. Barini had said, and we don't get to see you in person and have that time. And there's often times we're speaking for other people. But I had to laugh when Ms. Councilmember Harris said, some people may get 10 people and come and sit and take up 10 minutes of our time talking about nothing. And Chrissy, I had to laugh because if you have 10 friends that will come and sit in a city council meeting so that you can talk about nothing for 10 minutes, you have 10 great friends. I can't imagine anything less I'd like to do. But I too am speaking on the voting power because I think that the mayor does have a responsibility in terms of the veto power. But I think that we have to start building consensus instead of voting blocks. And we need to build unity in this city. And I really don't think that having him be able to do a tie-breaking vote is appropriate on that. I'd love to see us go in a more positive direction. I also thought that especially now, I don't know how it works with an acting mayor, but should he be lucky enough to win the congressional seat, I wouldn't think that he should have any say whatsoever in who would be the next mayor. And I just want to be really clear. I read the what was in the presentation and the state law, and I asked some friends of mine, it says, yeah, it looks like it would be a majority vote instead of a 2/3 vote. And I think if there was that situation, and we're going to have an interim mayor, it should definitely be a 2/3 vote. And then my final comment of the evening is, I was looking for at some minutes, and I noticed that I hadn't seen any executive session minutes being released. Could you check into that, all of you, and see where we stand on that? I remember when Clerk Reed was there, about every 6 months, I think is by law, when that's supposed to be reevaluated. And I'm just wondering where we are with that at this time. So that being said, Mr. Barini and Mr. Slater, I agree with everything they said. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else, either in the room or online, wishing to address this committee? I don't see anybody, so we will continue. The next order of business is adoption or approval, of the rules from last time. If somebody would like to make that motion.
I'll move approval of the Rules Committee meeting minutes from July 7th.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we approve the rules from our July 7th meeting. We don't have anybody online, so we'll just do this by a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries on a voice vote. And that brings us to items for consideration, of which there are 6. Item 6 is discussion of the city council rules themselves. So we will get to the meat of this discussion, hopefully in a rather expeditious manner. I'm hoping we can get through the first 5 items fairly quickly. The first one is item R1, which is assigning somebody to fill a vacancy on the Social Services Committee. Is there anybody willing to step forward and volunteer to serve in that capacity? This vacancy exists because Councilmember Isles, as it turns out, is ineligible to serve on that committee. Anyone? Going once, going twice, with nobody stepping forward to volunteer to fill that role. I think we move forward with a vacancy for the time being. If somebody feels compelled to join that committee at a future date, we can, I'm sure, make that happen at that time.
Let's take a break and get Bobby.
Okay, we do have Councilmember Burns online now. Councilmember Burns, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Great. And it is the understanding of the chair that Councilmember Burns wishes to participate remotely and is eligible to do so under council rules. If we could have a motion to allow that to happen, please.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Biss, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we allow Councilmember Burns to participate remotely. Quick roll call, please.
Councilmember Suffernan? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Harakaris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Chair Nusma?
Aye. By a vote of 9-0, the motion is approved, and Councilmember Burns will be participating remotely. That brings us to item R2.
I have my light. I
Oh,
just
I'm
have a
sorry,
question. Yeah.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes. So for the committee assignment for social services, how many do we need? Because I currently sit on it.
You-
So we need one more.
We need one more.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. I wanted to, since we're on this topic, propose that we expand the Planning and Development Committee to 7.
That item is not on our agenda, and I think it might be proper to get through our agenda items first, and then take that up as new business when we get to the end of this
Okay.
agenda.
Also, I had one more question regarding the minutes that I had my light on when we were voting.
I'm sorry.
On the minutes.
I missed that.
So I know in the staff memo, there's reference, so the minutes do not include the blue and the red in the, it doesn't include approving that. Okay, just to be clear, because okay, thank you.
Right. Somebody else down there had a light on?
I just wanted to say, whoever keeps putting me on the Social Services Committee emails to join, I am not participating, so I don't know who that's coming from. I don't know if everybody's getting them and they're just trying to will me into the committee, but I keep getting reminders that I have a meeting that I don't have. So if you could look into that, Allison, maybe, and figure out.
So noted. All right. Let's move on to item R2. We need to appoint 3 council members to the Bike Plan Advisory Committee. Councilmember Isles, followed by Councilmember Davis.
I would love to be on that committee. I ride my bike all over, including to council meetings.
Councilmember Isles has volunteered. Councilmember Davis, followed by Harris and Herdakaris.
So I just, I didn't see any documentation online as to what the Bike Advisory Committee would do. So, I'm going to start by asking, like, have you publicly posted what the committee does before, like, assigning people to it and everything?
My name is Chris Seuss, Assistant City Engineer here at the City of Evanston. I have not, in fact, typically for all of our updates, specifically Streetlight Master Plan and when we did the Bike Plan update in 2014, I can go over the assignments now if that's something. Typically in advance of going to any of the public meetings or engagement sessions, such as the ward meetings in which we intend to do, or any community engagement, we'd kind of bring to the advisory committee some of the deliverables that we have, such as maps or corridors or policy things that we're going to recommend at those sessions. And it would be basically bringing it to your attention and kind of seeing if you guys would provide some feedback for us in advance of going to some of those engagement events. So that would be the expectation for this committee.
I think to clarify, this is a three council member only committee. This is not a this is not a BCC with public members on it.
And so the only goal of this BCC is to create a bike plan?
As part of the bike plan update, we typically would put together 1 or 2 committees, typically an advisory or steering. And often on the advisory committee, there would be council member presence to give your guys' feedback of kind of as we're going through, kind of more or less your feedback of where we are and kind of the expectations that we need to fulfill.
Okay, and will this be OMA compliant is the plan?
I'm not sure.
No?
No.
Okay. Oh, does it have to be more than 3 or something? Oh, okay, all right. Well, that assuages all of my worries, because it felt like we had agreed in our last meeting that we didn't want more OMA noticed meetings, and so if it's just like something we're going to be doing, yeah, okay, sounds good.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Harris, followed by Heracles.
Thank you. I'm interested in joining as it goes through Second Ward. I have my high schoolers, so I am interested. Thank you.
Okay, and we have two interested. Councilmember Heracles,
I'm interested in being on this as well.
that is three. Councilmember Isles, do you have your light back on?
I do, yeah. We could also call it a task force or something too, to avoid committee as a term.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. Councilmember
It-
Harris?
Sorry. It is meant to be short-term. It ends when the bike plan ends.
Exactly, exactly. And I can't tell, but does Councilmember Burns have a hand raised?
You gotta remove that okay.
Yeah, can you hit the okay?
Well, while we're trying to figure that out, do we have a standard time or we would figure that out? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right, 'cause in one-on-one conversations with Councilmember Burns, he had expressed interest. So Councilmember Burns, are you,
I'm good with this. We have our three, so it sounds like we're good. So I'm okay with this.
okay, so with that, if somebody would like to make a motion to appoint council members Harris, Isles, and Heracardis to this committee,
Mr. Chair, I would move that we appoint council members Isles, Harris, and Harakaris to the Bike Plan Advisory Committee.
I'll second.
it's been moved by Councilmember Rogers, seconded by Councilmember Davis. Can I ask for a roll call, please?
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers? Councilmember Heracles?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. By a unanimous vote, council members Heracles, Isles, and Harris are appointed to that committee. Thank you for volunteering. Next up is appointment of three members of council to another task force, if you will, call it a committee if you have to. This is the City Manager Evaluation Committee. This is congruent with what we did last term. There were three members of council that were tasked with not doing the evaluation themselves, but putting together the structure by which the evaluation would occur. And so it is our desire to put another three members of council together and assign them to that task of herding all of us cats up here. So Councilmember Suffredin, followed by Rogers.
We're already behind on this. I'd like to be on this committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Rogers.
I also would like to serve on this committee.
That makes two. Is there anybody else willing to step up? Councilmember Heracles, followed by Kelly.
I can be on that committee too.
Okay,
If that's, yep.
that makes it three. And that's all we need. So it looks like we're there. If somebody would like to make a motion to appoint council members Suffredin, Rogers, and Heracles to the City Manager Evaluation Committee.
I'll move the appointment of council members Suffredin, Rogers, and Heracles to the City Manager Evaluation Committee.
And I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Kelly, seconded by Councilmember Davis. Could I ask for a roll call, please?
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Heracles?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris? Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
Chair Nusma.
Aye. By a unanimous vote of 10 to nothing, council members Heracles, Rogers, and Suffredin are appointed to the City Manager Evaluation Committee. That brings us to our next agenda item, which is the appointment of a chair to the Finance and Budget Committee. I want to note that is the responsibility of the Rules Committee to appoint somebody to that position and to determine the term of their chairmanship. So with that, I will entertain motions. Councilmember Kelly.
So I'd like to move that we, and I'm trying to find the item number, that we move to allow all committees, excepting standing committees, to elect and appoint their own mayor, their own chairpersons annually, so that we aren't, minus the ones that are statutorily mandated somehow by, like, the pension boards and other, but otherwise to allow all BCCs except for standing committees and committees that are statutorily described and mandated to appoint their own, annually to elect and appoint their own chairs.
You're making this as a motion?
I am, with regard to this, so that we're not coming back here every year figuring out the
All right.
chairperson for
I'm-
finance and budget. I think we have three. We have economic development and also HCDC. Is that the other one that's a
I will
mixture?
ask staff to weigh in. However, I want to note that that being a change of policy would likely, a change of city code would likely have to go through a referral process. It's also touched upon in city council rules, I believe, which we are going to be talking about later this evening. So I'm not sure if such a motion would be in order, and I'm going to ask corporation council or city staff to weigh in.
That's not on. Good evening, members of the Rules Committee. Catherine Penrose, Assistant City Attorney. You are correct that that would need to go through the referral process to make those changes to the code.
Okay, so there is no motion on the table at this time.
My
Councilmember
list.
Kelly, you still have the floor.
So, yes, I mean, I think that that's far preferable than bringing this to the Rules Committee for both, for economic development. All three of these committees are a mixture of residents and council members, and none of them are standing committees. So, you know, I guess I would move to table this, to bring back a referral, unless someone has a suggestion.
I would
on
like
how-
to suggest.
It's, Councilmember Kelly has the floor. There is a motion to table this item. Is such a motion in order? I don't see why not. Such a motion would be debatable. With a second, we can continue that debate. Otherwise, I think we need to move on.
You can't debate a table.
Okay, then I guess I want to hear from other council members, so I'm going to hold,
Okay.
I'd like to.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Davis.
So you mentioned that we'll be discussing what BCCs can do later during rules today. Would it not be proper to table it until after we've made that decision? Because otherwise it might decide what we do here.
In the opinion of the chair, I think getting into that territory would require perhaps rewriting in a more significant manner the rules that we thought we were about to wrap up tonight. And if it is the desire of this committee or council to do that, I think it would be appropriate to consider that not on the fly this evening, but as a course of action after a referral process, allowing proper due diligence and homework to be done.
I thought that was
I would
already
really
in the
like to
rules,
stick
though.
to the agenda we have in front of us tonight. Doesn't rule out changes that possibly could be made in the future.
But we have something already written in the rules regarding how BCCs govern themselves. It's already proposed in here.
I'll ask staff to weigh in on that one.
Good evening, Chair Newsma, members of the committee. In the new draft rules in section 7B2E, it says that each board, committee, and commission shall elect a chair from among its members unless otherwise provided by law. I would also note that how these BCCs are dealt with is part of a larger conversation that I think we all know we need to have around the structure of BCCs, including the template rules for BCCs that this committee directed staff to prepare, which we'll come back to you at a later date. And so maybe that's a part of that conversation as well.
And so, I'm sorry, before you leave, unless otherwise provided by law is a key phrase there because it's my understanding that city code, when it comes to Finance and Budget Committee, assigns responsibility for determining the chair to the Rules Committee.
I believe that's correct.
Right, so under current city code and current city council rules, it is on us to appoint a chair. Those are the cards we're dealt with. Those are the cards we have to play tonight. If you want to change decks in the future, that's a future discussion. But it's, I think, our responsibility this evening to appoint a chair for that committee so they can continue their business at the next meeting.
Correct, and that would require an ordinance change.
All right, okay. Councilmember Isles.
Well, I still have the table, actually. Liza,
Councilmember Davis.
yeah. Could you tell me how many other BCCs, like what is the breakdown for if they get to choose their chair or not?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Okay.
Part of the interesting challenge with our BCCs is that they are all structured in sort of different ways. Many have their own governing ordinances, and so there isn't sort of a consistent structure across the board. There's a lot of variation.
Okay, thank you.
Is it all?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Isles.
Okay, I like Councilmember Kelly's suggestion. I'd be happy to co-refer this particular committee. I would suggest that we name David Livingston chair, but we do it for short term. Like, let's get through budget season. It's an important committee for budget season. Name him chair for 3-4 months while we sort out this referral and we change the ordinance. But in the meantime, we need a chair for this committee. So let's just make it short term instead of like for a year or 2 years or whatever the normal length of time is.
So I will take that as a motion.
Sure.
If you want to define more precisely the time, I might
Okay.
suggest 6
So-
months because it's a nice fat round number.
Okay. I move that we appoint David Livingston chair of the Finance and Budget Committee for a term of 6 months.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Isles, seconded by Councilmember Harris. Is there discussion on this motion? Councilmember Kelly.
So I guess I'd like to amend the motion to recommend that Therese McGuire, since David Livingston has served for a very long time, and I think it's important to have a change of leadership. So I would like to amend that since I think the way we settled it, and again, I appreciate your suggestion, Sean, that we, work out the sort of template for boards, committees, and commissions to use for appointment of chairs. I appreciate that. But I would like to see some change in leadership. So I would like to amend it to recommend Therese McGuire.
I'm not on this committee, so maybe we could hear from the other members of the committee, and if they agree, I'm fine with the amendment.
So
Is anybody else? Councilmember Davis is seeking recognition for the second time, so Councilmember Davis.
yeah, I'm going to second that, if only because, as you may know, that committee is a little contentious currently because of some recent developments. And so I think it's important to bring someone in who has more of a neutral, fresh perspective and a neutral voice. And so I would actually also be in favor of Therese.
There's a motion on the table, which has been seconded, which we can talk about. That motion is to appoint Mr. Livingston. Mr. Mayor.
Well, I think the motion was made to amend that motion.
The motion was, can we?
I would take it as a friendly amendment after I hear from the other people on the committee. So who else is on it? Tom and
Can we make this is a question for staff. Can we make a motion within a motion? Yeah, I think the way I read Councilmember Kelly's request is she was asking for a friendly amendment, which I don't believe was accepted.
I would accept it after I hear from the other people.
So
on the committee.
at the moment, it's
Am I
not
allowed to do that?
accepted. So what I would
At the
like to
moment, it's
do
not
is
accepted. Yeah.
continue this discussion, and then we'll see where we net out, and we'll sort out the motions. So Mr. Mayor.
I just have a practical question for perhaps Councilmember Kelly or anybody else. Has anyone asked Teresa McGuire if she is open to doing this? I ask because if I were in her shoes as a brand new member of the committee, I would be hesitant to walking in as chair. But if she's comfortable doing it, I think she's terrific and would be great.
Councilmember Rogers?
As somebody who sits on this chair also, I'd like to echo what Councilmember Davis had said, that I'll be kind of blunt here. I kind of dread those meetings at times because they are just very contentious meetings. And I think that we need somebody who comes in without preconceived ideas, is a fresh look, and is able to step into this role. The role of chair is not a difficult role to do. It's really just maintaining the order of the room, especially when you are chair of a body where everybody has the same rights. The only difference is that you are tasked with the extra role of maintaining order in the room and making sure all voices are heard equally. So I don't think it's a challenge to step into a role like this brand new. It's a little bit different if you're stepping in as a mayor or something like that. But I believe the mayor stepped into his first meeting probably not having been mayor before. So, I mean, I think you kind of can pick this stuff up.
Is that it? That's it. Okay. I will weigh in as a member of the Finance and Budget Committee since its inception. I agree with Mayor Biss that aside from the fact that nobody's talked to Dr. McGuire, which I don't think we should assign anybody a job that they haven't expressly agreed to do, I don't think asking somebody to step into a committee from the get-go as chair is best practice when there are other folks on the committee who are certainly able to do that work. Dr. McGuire may indeed be a great chair at some point, and maybe before too long, but those are my 2 cents. And I will go to Councilmember Suffredin.
Yeah, I'm aware there's nobody from finance staff here, but Luke, do you have a sense of what the agenda for the next Tuesday's finance and budget meeting is? I presume it would be a discussion of the budget.
Councilmember Suffredin, that's correct. The bulk of the meeting will be focused on the fiscal 26 budget.
Okay. Is there any reason we need to have a chair to have a productive discussion about the budget for next Tuesday?
Somebody needs to run the meeting.
All due respect to the great work you're doing, I'm pretty sure we could put anybody in there who can keep track of time. So why don't we appoint somebody to be chair for that meeting, get past this and get on with the more dense parts of this agenda? I mean, it's a very short term, but it would be one meeting. We'll have a Rules Committee meeting in the intervening time, and we can move on to the other items on the agenda.
I don't know when the next expected Rules Committee meeting is. We can call one if we need to, but we do have an Envision special meeting on the calendar. So I don't know if, I see what you're saying. I don't know if there's going to be another Rules Committee meeting before the November Finance and Budget meeting.
May I propose that we have a one-item Rules Committee meeting prior to that Envision meeting, and we'll have this figured out. But let's not get stuck on this. Let's not lose next Tuesday's very important Finance and Budget meeting. Let's just appoint a chair for that meeting, and then we can move on. And we'll have clarity as to who does and doesn't want to be chair of that committee.
Councilmember Kelly and then Councilmember Davis, and let's figure this out quickly here.
So I would support that if that's an amendment, that it would be just for one meeting only, while the template, and I agree, I mean, I do think we need to figure this out for those 3 committees that are not standing committees, that are council members and residents, so that we're not figuring out chairs here all the time. So I would support that if you're making that as an amendment.
I don't know where we are on, are we on Sean? Your amendment to
The way- the
Sean's?
way
I mean, I'll make,
If
Yeah,
you make
the way I'm going to read it is Councilmember Isles' motion is the prevailing motion on the table at this point.
so, I don't think that's, or, well, that Corporation
Because
Council.
Councilmember
I don't-
Suffredin is asking for a friendly amendment of Councilmember Isles' motion to appoint Mr. Livingston to be the chair for one meeting.
I don't think that's true either. I'm
Okay,
not
how
asking for
about-
David Livingston to be the chair of anything.
I suggest Councilmember Suffredin do it for one meeting.
I'll do it for one meeting.
It's your idea. Okay, I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, is there a second on that
I'll
friendly
second.
amendment? Okay. So this would get us through the October Finance and Budget Committee meeting. What you're doing, what we are doing, should this motion pass, is asking this committee to reconvene to decide the long-term solution. Is anything going to be different by that time?
Yeah, so my lights
everyone-
on, what I was going to suggest is that.
Hold on a second. That's the question of the chair. I'll go to Councilmember Davis and then Councilmember Kelly.
I was going to say that we could also direct Finance and Budget to give us a recommendation for a chair in the meantime as well. That means we would definitely have at least a person that the majority of these council members who are on it recommend in addition to the members of the Finance and Budget Board Committee, whichever. BCC.
I was just saying,
If Councilmember Suffredin in
absolute
chairs the next
clarity on
meeting,
who
that's
wants to
something
be
he
the
could
chair
do
or
as
not,
chair.
because they'll all be there.
Great.
And we can ask them
Councilmember, is that all? Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't, so I'll support that if we're going to vote then to appoint Tom for one meeting.
One meeting.
One meeting. And then, I think we have to have that template, and it won't just, we could meet for 15 minutes before a council meeting. I mean, this isn't a big deal.
I want to check with staff and make sure we are not caught unprepared and in a situation where there is no designated chair for the November meeting if the work we're contemplating being done does not actually take place in time to allow us to do that. So what I would suggest is maybe appointing Councilmember Suffredin not just for one meeting, but until such time as we can do all this extra work, just to allow us the necessary time to make that happen.
Councilmember Newsom, maybe I would suggest Councilmember Suffredin through the end of November.
One meeting.
Well, that would be
We can leave it open. I'm just telling you, I'm doing one meeting.
October, November. The meeting has to have a chair in order for it to be a productive meeting. We hope certainly that we can figure something out long-term before the November meeting, but if we don't, which is a reasonable possibility, let's just sort it out now, and if you're willing to do that for another month if need be, great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to presume that finance and budget, this is like Christmas time at the North Pole. It's very serious. We need to get a real permanent chair, but let's get through next Tuesday and let's see where we are. But let's work expeditiously to get a permanent chair. I will leave it open, but my intention is one meeting.
Councilmember Suffredin's intention is noted. I will make the appeal for a friendly amendment to allow Councilmember Suffredin to serve beyond his stated one meeting if in the unfortunate circumstance that is required, we are not left empty-handed.
I accept that as a friendly
Okay,
amendment.
so that motion is made, it's seconded. If there's no further discussion, I prefer to vote, but Mr. Rogers.
I just would say that, if a committee doesn't have a chair show up at a meeting, you vote for a committee chair at the meeting of eligible members. So I think if Councilmember Suffredin is willing to do one meeting, we do one meeting. I don't think we should be backing him into a corner and saying, we expect more from you than what you're willing to give. And if in November there isn't a seated chair, you elect a chair. I mean, it's not like if the chair doesn't show up at a meeting, the meeting just doesn't function, it doesn't happen.
Councilmember Kelly?
So I would like to amend it further to say, in the event that we need a chair for November, that Councilmember Rogers be chair for the November meeting if it's needed. So it's one each.
Guys, we're making this way more complicated
well,
than it
I
needs to
just-
be.
okay.
Like, let's, Councilmember Suffern has stepped up. We'll ask him to continue stepping up. If need be, hopefully it won't be needed. So I'm going to call the roll on this vote. And just to be clear, what we are doing is appointing Councilmember Suffern for a term not to exceed 2 meetings to chair the Finance and Budget Committee.
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Mayor Biss.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. So by a vote of 10-0, that motion passes. And we move on to consideration of item R5, which is our committee chair schedule. Staff has prepared 2 options for us. They're almost the same. If somebody wants to make a motion on one or the other, I think we can get through this quickly. Councilmember Rogers.
I'm sorry, my microphone wasn't on. I have a question on the Rules Committee. Why does Councilmember Suffredin get to go twice before me?
Which,
On both versions, he's listed twice before me, so I just was curious about.
Oh, you know what? I know what that is.
if there's somebody from staff who could speak to this, or if Councilmember Suffredin.
I feel like, remember when we flip-flopped,
I think that's what happened.
whatever, Administration, Public Works, and Rules? So this has me down from May to September, but I wasn't. That was NUSMA. Or you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Councilmember Suffredin was listed twice, was the chair of 2 committees at the same time, which we try to avoid. Therefore, you 2 made a switch, and when we switched, we put him where you are, and so he's listed where you used to be. So what we'll do is, the next time we meet, we will have a proposed change where we switch you 2. So you will be ahead of his second.
That's fine. I just was.
So
It's a great catch.
There's a mistake.
Yeah, I just was more curious about.
Mistake in the
No, we'll
paper.
switch it. We'll
Okay.
switch it.
So there are 2 options in front of us. They're designated option 3 and option 4. Does anybody have a motion on either one? Please, somebody make a motion. This is not a.
I move approval of option 3.
It's been moved by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we adopt option 3. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Mayor Biss.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. Again, by a unanimous vote of 10-0, that motion passes. Option 3 is adopted as the chair of, or the rotation schedule for committee chairs with the correction as noted. Okay, that brings us now to item R6, which is consideration of the city council rules. Just a brief recap, this committee has met 3 times to discuss these rules. We met on May 5th, we met on June 2nd, we met on July 7th. We have spent a total of 7 hours contemplating these rules. We are just about at the end. And what I hope to do in a fairly timely manner here is go through a few points that I want to make sure we are all in agreement on, or at least have appropriate consideration and a vote if necessary. And then we will recommend, this committee will recommend the rules be adopted to City Council, and those rules will not become effective until adopted at a future City Council meeting. So, with that in mind, there are 6 areas that I want to call our attention to that are enumerated in the packet. We've added a 7th one based on some additional discussion, and the point of bringing these to everybody's attention is just to make sure we're having a robust and fully informed discussion. There are a few things that, language that we haven't seen before, so we want to make sure we see that. There are a few things where maybe we're heading in the wrong direction, and staff has a different recommendation. So my intention is to run through these as expeditiously as possible. If nobody else has any further input, then we can at that point, vote on the final package. If somebody else does want to bring something, another item to the attention of this committee, it would be in line to do so. I'd like to go through these 7 points first. So if staff wants to run us through these, or you've got the presentation there. The first item is the definition of the special order of business. The language in the draft, which is the language we see here, has been approved by this committee. No. Okay. I will let staff explain where we're at then.
Good evening. As you may recall, during the 7 hours we spent discussing the rules, one of the things that this committee directed staff to do was to come up with a definition for special orders of business. There wasn't a ton of direction on what that definition should look like, but there was pretty clear unanimity that a definition was needed. The one point of direction that was clear from the committee was that the definition should in some way encompass the concept of a special order of business being appropriate where there's an emergency or there's some kind of time-sensitive issue. So this is the definition staff have drafted. Happy to discuss however is helpful. Thank you.
So just procedurally, if there are no motions, we will assume this language is acceptable and we'll vote to approve it when we vote on the whole package later tonight. So no motions necessary to approve this language, but if somebody wants to change it, now would be the time. So Councilmember Rogers.
I just have a question for staff. We say C are of particular importance to the community. D do not fall under the jurisdiction of any board, committee, or commission. How's the determination made that they are of particular importance to the community? And if they are that important, shouldn't they fall through a board, committee, or commission?
So first of all, these are written in the alternative. So an item need not meet all 4 of these criteria to be deemed a special order of
get
business.
that.
Okay. I think what we were trying to capture here is that special orders of business have been used in the past where there's a critical item that needs to get done that is important to the community, or where there just isn't another place where this thing goes on the agenda. There isn't a committee that it was appropriate to send it to. It just sort of doesn't fit anywhere else. And so we're trying to preserve a little bit of that flexibility in terms of getting items on the agenda where there's really a need to do so.
Yeah, so I guess my question kind of falls into the, if it's of particular importance, shouldn't it be going to a board, committee, or commission if there is a board, committee, or commission that has jurisdiction over that? Why would it skip that process?
It wouldn't. It's like Liza was saying, it would be, it doesn't have to fit in all of those categories. So if an...
I'm agreeing with that.
So if we're not saying that if it is an item of importance that it wouldn't go through a BCC. It could be an item of importance and also could have gone through a BCC.
But it says or.
Right. So it doesn't have to be in either of those. It doesn't have to be in both of those categories.
So we can just determine that something is of importance and skip boards, commissions, and committees.
In the past, what's happened is that it's gone through those BCCs. This is just historically, but it's gone through those BCCs either sometimes for a vote, sometimes just for input. But when it gets to council, it's put on as a special order, even though it's gone through the BCC.
For instance, as an example, I believe the budget has historically been a special order of business. So that would be an example of an item that is of importance to the community, that's the reason why it would be categorized in that way.
But it does go through the Finance and Budget Committee.
Right.
Right.
It need not meet every single one of those criteria to be a
Yeah, I
special
just don't
order.
want to skipping over boards, committees, and commissions.
No, the last provision is really just intended, and happy to think about ways to wordsmith it if that makes it clearer, but it's really just intended to be sort of a catch-all in case there's a code change we need to make. For some reason, it doesn't fall under the purview of any of our existing BCCs. Rather than creating a new BCC to hear the item,
and
this
I
would
get
be a
that,
way
yeah.
to get it before City Council.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I'm just stating for the record, I guess, maybe out into the world, that I don't want to skipping boards, committees, and commissions because we feel something is important to me that should apply extra scrutiny through those boards, committees, and commissions.
No, and that's not the intention here. And again, if there are ways to wordsmith it to make that clear,
Okay.
we'd be happy to.
All right.
Thank you, Councilmember Rogers. Councilmember Hirakaris.
I was just going to give the example of the Prieto renaming. That went to a board and commission based on the petition process, never came up to a vote. And then based on importance to the community, the number of, and it, it's not a set bar, but a lot of people signed the petition, and then it came back to special order of business.
Councilmember Kelly, then Suffredin, then Davis.
I feel like time sensitive should be defined, since we have emergency, disaster, like what does it mean, time sensitive? I think that needs clarification. I'm also not comfortable with C. I'd like to see C struck, are of particular importance to the community. I think that pretty much opens it to anything and everything that could be a special order of business. So I'd actually like to move to have C struck. And, you know, there's another way, you know, if there's something that needs to be, something I'm not seeing there, but I can't see any reason to have C.
Councilmember Kelly has made a motion to strike the C section here. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Kelly, seconded by Councilmember Suffredin. Is there any discussion on this motion?
I do too.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Sorry. All right. Councilmember Hirakaris, and the example that you gave, that was just stuck at where? I mean, I don't understand. Like or just so you know where I'm coming from, I would be fine with striking both C and D, but I'm open to that. There's valid reasons why. And so yours was at Park and Rec, or like?
It was at Parks and Rec, and it didn't get a second, so they didn't even vote on it. It wasn't voted down, it was just in limbo. So if you strike C and D, I think it would just been never happened, which, just frankly, would have been a big disservice to the community. So I think this is, in that case, I think we were fixing an oversight that happened. And I think that was a perfectly legitimate way to do it. That was a very personal one to me, so I felt really strongly about it. I'm trying to think, the other ones recently have been around, welcome in city and protecting healthcare information. Those were time sensitive, and that was all based on, things happening at the federal level. So I think having some flexibility makes sense, at least to me, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to, is it's a question of, do you want it to be a restrictive or expansive? Because the ones you mentioned were both time sensitive. So anyway, all right, so let the discussion continue.
Allison.
I was just going to say, the example of the healthcare resolution, that actually did go through Human Services, but because it felt important to the community, that also became a special order of business. So just like the budget and goes through finance and budget to sort of highlight it, it's been a special order of business. So just because it's a special order of business doesn't mean that it's never gone through a BCC.
Also, I want to clarify that special orders of business are not the unanimous privilege of the mayor, but these rules indeed afford the authority to, I believe it's 3 members of city council can request a special order of business. So, majority? Majority.
Question of the chair.
Right.
Or Allison, maybe, has that happened? I mean, I'm sure in the last 4 years, 3 council members special order of business, or have they all been in the last 4 years with the mayor? The grocery tax was a special order of business, and that would have been time sensitive. I just, C&D seem to open this up more, and it'd be helpful to know the history of special orders of business, the recent history. But yeah, the grocery tax was time sensitive. Anyway, sorry.
Councilmember Davis.
Councilmember Hadakaris. When you said the petition process, was there a formal petition process or like an informal one they put together?
There is a petition process, and based on guidance from Parks and Rec staff, I went through the Parks and Rec department. One of the things, the naming was a little bit of an outlier because it was the importance of having the husband and wife be named, and Maria Prieto had passed recently, and so if you read the ordinance, it says, I think the wording was shall, or maybe, there was some guidance to have a period of time between when someone passed, and that didn't meet the criteria based on some other members' reading of it, even though there is flexibility based on the way it's written. And so there was never a second, and it just was in limbo. So that's what happened.
Okay, so kind of what I was thinking is that for portion C, when we talk about what I would actually like to see is more of a definition of what it is of importance to the community. And what I'll say is that our community is very petition happy. And so if we, yeah, right? And so if we want to make a requirement like of some type of showing of a petition, I'd prefer that. Alternatively, I'm okay with the language as is, but this is the second or third time in rules that it's been suggested that we only need 3 council members to do a special order of business. If we want to keep it as is, I would like to knock down the requirement to have a special order of business from 5 to 3. So those are I'm going to make one of those motions. We can discuss more, but those are the 2 things I'm kind of
All right, so I
thinking
think
on the table.
the motion on the table is to delete the section C. You're suggesting you might have some related language to add to the conversation later. The motion on the table is to delete C. I, at this point, am going to amend what I had said earlier about the not having the necessity, not having to vote on this language if we're okay with it as is. That is indeed true, but in order to move through this conversation definitively, the chair will entertain a motion to approve this language as is. If the majority so desires, then we can just put this motion behind us rather than, keep trying to, keep coming at it from different directions. So anyway, Councilmember Rogers, I'm recognizing.
Point of order, I do believe there is a motion already on the table that you cannot supersede.
I am not making
so-
that motion.
Right, no.
I'm just offering some guidance as to how to get through this meeting expeditiously. So there is a motion on the table. Councilmember Rogers, do you wish to speak to that motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think the importance of the community is kind of a little bit vague. I do think that when we look at things that are under the jurisdiction of boards, committees, and commissions, the example that was given was that it was under the jurisdiction of a board, committee, or commission. It got stuck there. So that's one of those issues that I feel can be addressed by other means. I think maybe if we just say, hey, boards and commissions need to make positive, negative recommendations to this body. you can't have things just die in a citizen committee, in my opinion. They should at least advance forward, even if it's a negative recommendation. So I think that in all the examples that I've kind of heard, they fall under A, B, or D. And C is kind of a vague thing that I don't want us to just start kind of using as well, this is important, without clear definitions as to what is important. It may be important to some people in the community, it may not be important to others. Where does that line get drawn as to who gets a special order of business and who doesn't?
Okay, seeing no other lights, let's take a roll call on the motion to delete section C.
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
No.
Councilmember Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
No.
Mayor Biss?
No.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
Sorry. And Chair Nusma?
The chair votes no. The vote is then 6-4 in the affirmative to delete section C. Is there any other discussion on this particular section? I don't see any, so
Yeah, I would like to make the motion that we allow special orders of business with 3 council members.
I'm going to ask staff to point us to where that is addressed in the draft rules. I don't have that off the top of my head.
That is in section 4B1B. And just to refresh everyone's memory, we spent some time talking about this at a previous meeting. I believe a motion was made to change this to 3 members, and then that motion was withdrawn. And you'll see that reflected in the minutes.
Can you point us to a page number in the packet?
Yes, my apologies. If you're looking at the page numbers in the bottom right corner, so the pagination for the document itself, not the pagination for the packet, it's page 16.
Page 16 of the rules, which is page 34 of the packet, and that is section 4, agenda.
4B1B.
B is procedure for bringing matters before the council. Number 1 is placing items on the agenda, and lowercase letter b is a majority of city council may also place a special order of business on the agenda. Since we are talking about special orders of business, I, as chair, will deem it appropriate to have this conversation now. And there is a motion on the table to change that language in 4B1B from simple majority to 3 members of city council. It's been moved by Council Member Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Council Member Rogers. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Council Member Kelly.
So which meeting was it? Because I really thought that we already voted on this for 3. I thought that was my.
Yeah, the
when I-
motion got withdrawn when we had the discussion. I don't remember if I think it was the June meeting, not the July meeting, no?
Okay.
It was at the July 7th meeting. If you look at the minutes for July 7th, at the top of page 6, it says, allow 3 members instead of a majority of council members to add a special order of business to the agenda, and the motion was withdrawn.
Okay, the motion is now on the table. Is there any debate on this motion? I will throw in my 2 cents. I think it's a good idea. Seeing no further council members wishing to weigh in on the subject, I will ask for a roll call. And this roll call is to change the number of council members placing a special order of business on the agenda from a majority to 3.
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Mayor Biss.
No.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. So by a vote of 9-1, that motion passes, and the number of council members required to place a special order of business on the agenda is 3. So I think we are ready to move on to the next item of focus, which is
I apologize. Before we move on from that item,
Sure.
you'll recall that in our current rules, when council members make a special order of business, it's done by motion in an open meeting of the city council. And one of the items that we discussed the last time this came up was whether that request should be made in writing in advance or whether it should still be made in an open meeting. So any direction on that would be helpful as well.
it's got to be in writing, I would say, but it doesn't need, where in our rules, where in the draft rules does it specify the manner in which the previously stated majority would have to, would place a special order of business on the agenda?
That's in our current rules. I believe it's in the current draft as well.
Yeah.
I apologize, I left my computer. But just clarification on, as we're revisiting this provision, whether there should be a procedure for making that request in writing.
Was that why it was withdrawn?
What are the requirements for the mayor?
I'm sorry, let's keep control of the meeting here. Staff, is there, I'm going to turn to Allison, who was weighing in.
That's, I think, why it got withdrawn the last time we had this conversation, is because right now it has to be at a meeting and then voted on. So the question was, like, what would happen if 3 council members voted yes and the rest voted no? Like, how would a majority not win in that situation? And so that's why the motion was withdrawn, because we wanted, we weren't quite sure what the procedure would be in that case.
And I think we also noted that according to the current and the draft new rules, 3 council members can call a special meeting of council.
Correct.
So I would suggest, in the spirit of moving forward with this motion having passed, that we put this additional procedural question on the list of things that we'll need to get to clean up this work, but I don't want to impede progress of approving this draft, hopefully tonight. Is that sufficient guidance for the time being? I think it can.
Yeah, we will come up with a draft that addresses the procedure for council to review when it gets to them.
Okay. I'm not sure who was first here, but I think I had Rogers, Davis, and then Kelly. Okay.
What are the requirements for the mayor to add a special order of business? Isn't it just like 72 hours in writing or something like that? 5 days? Can't we just do the same thing? Why can we not do the same thing for city council members?
That seems to be reasonable, but here we're getting into
Okay.
drafting procedures and language that we have not, as a committee or staff, contemplated. I am uncomfortable making stuff up on the fly.
So I'm not proposing anything, but city staff did specifically ask for direction.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving my personal opinion and indication.
Okay. sounds reasonable. Councilmember Rogers and then Kelly.
Yeah, my direction would also be the same. If things are time sensitive and everything like that, having to wait for an open session of a meeting in order to vote on it and everything else, that means you have to have 2 weeks notice instead of 5 days. So it takes away the time sensitive aspect of a special order of business.
Okay, Councilmember Kelly.
Yeah, so we definitely had this whole discussion before, but I agree that it should be written. But I also think it changes now. We have to, I think the written request should clearly define which one of these, whether it's, A, B, or D, and explain it the same with the mayor, whoever's putting it forward. I would just like to add that be a requirement, a clear description of which one of these.
So are you making a motion?
No, well, I'm just saying for direction for staff, if we're going to bring this back, that should be included in, for both for 3 council members and for the mayor. That
The procedure, the time requirement for placing a
that
special
it's
order
not
of
like you can't
business
just call
on the
one, you have to
agenda.
also include the rationale.
That you have to.
All right, so
So-
that's direction to staff. I'd really like to keep moving here.
But why
We've
can't we
got-
vote on this? I
The
don't-
motion
I'm-
is passed. We've given direction to staff. So I would like to move on because we have some ground to cover and the Cubs game starts in an hour and 25 minutes. So let's move on to the next item.
And my hand is up.
I'm
Chair.
sorry, Councilmember Burns, we can't see your screen. If you want to just text me, but go ahead, Councilmember Burns.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually, I appreciate what Councilmember Kelly just said, and I do think it's important that the rationale is provided. In addition to that, I think the rationale should be reviewed at the top of these meetings, or at some point in the same way we review, requests to participate remotely. Because my concern is some of what I heard other people consider time sensitive is not necessarily time sensitive to me. Not all of what I heard earlier. And so we don't have to take it up this meeting because it's going to take longer to sort through all this. But I do appreciate what Councilmember Kelly's idea, and I would probably like to add to it. So there's some kind of review of it at the top of the meeting where the special order is being considered. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns. So
Last thing on this, I just want to clarify then that the rules will probably not be finalized in time for this budget season, but what this will mean is that while all of the budget special budget ordinances and resolutions have come before us as special orders of business, that will no longer be the case. We'll have to kind of change a little bit, but they might still show up as special orders this time around if these rules have not yet been adopted. I don't want anybody to get upset.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Let's move on to the next item. Councilmember Burns, your hand is still, I can see your screen. Your hand is now down. Thank you. I'm sorry, we will move on to the next item.
Do we have these slides in our packet?
These slides,
I'll send them around.
Okay.
yeah, the slides will, I think if they're not posted already, they will be, and Allison will send them around. Okay, so the next item of concern, and this one was not flagged in the packet, this is an addition, is the voting powers of the mayor. Staff, if you want to remind us of how we got here and weigh in with any additional context.
Sure. This one was a little procedurally complex. So just to refresh everyone's memory, when we talked about this at our June meeting, there were, I think, 10 or 11 different proposed amendments to this section of the rules. The committee debated and voted on 2 of those proposed amendments. The first was to delete the language in section 1 that says, or when a motion to approve an ordinance has 4 affirmative votes and fewer than 4 negative votes. So you'll see that has been struck out. After taking that vote, the committee voted to amend this provision to align with both state law and our city code, which says that there are three instances in which a mayor may vote. One is where there's a tie break. One is when 1/2 of the members then holding office have voted in favor of an ordinance, resolution, or motion, even though there is no tie vote. And then the third is when a vote greater than a majority of the corporate authorities is required. So this provision now mirrors state law and our city code, and the provision that the committee voted to delete has been struck out.
Okay, so let me just emphasize that last point. What we're saying here is the same as what state law says. Got it. Okay, does anybody want to, does anybody have anything to say about this section? Does anybody want to amend this section? Councilmember Rogers.
I have a question for staff. So under section 2 of this provision, where 1/2 of the council members then holding office voted in favor of an ordinance, resolution, or motion, even though there is no tie vote. On a 5-4 vote, would the mayor be given the prerogative to vote as a 5th negative vote, therefore killing the measure?
It says when 1/2 of the members then holding office.
Right, half of 9 would be 5.
It's
Because you
4
can't
and
have
a half.
you can't have a half person, so you have a 5-4 vote. If the mayor decides to cast a negative vote, it becomes a 5-5 vote.
Point of order. This provision would only apply if there is a vacant seat on the council, so that there
That's
could be
where
a
I'm going,
half.
so that language needs to be included in here then. Because it just says when 1/2 of the council members then holding office, which right now there are 9 of us, half would be 5.
I don't think the rules contemplate anywhere, or that state law contemplates anywhere, the existence of a negative vote.
I'm just saying the language as it's written does, and there are some bodies that do give the chair the ability to force a tie, therefore killing a motion. That's not unheard of in parliamentary procedure.
Point of information, half of 9 is definitely 4.5, not 5.
I get that, but we don't have a 4.5 to 3.5 vote ever. It rounds.
This section is really only intended to operate where there is a vacancy. It says when 1/2 of the council members then holding office. Then holding office means the people actually, there are actual people holding those offices who are here voting.
Right, so let's just game it out. Say there are 9 council members holding office. Those 9 council members are present. Those 9 council members vote 5-4. The question on the table is then, if the mayor, whoever that mayor might happen to be, wanted to kill that motion, the mayor could conceivably vote no, creating a 5-5 tie, which does not pass. That's
The mayor could not vote in that circumstance because there would be 5 votes, and that's the number required to pass an ordinance.
But by the time it gets to 5-4, it passes because 5 is required and the mayor is not required to wait, not allowed to weigh in.
Correct.
Right, and that's clear under these rules, clear under case law, interpretation of state law. So no need to belabor the point because it's implicit in these rules and in state law.
Yes.
Got it. Councilmember Davis and then Kelly.
Yeah, so there's 2 things. The first is, I don't understand, well, I'll actually go to my first point. So it says that the mayor can vote even though there is no tie. So we could have a situation where we have 8 council members and something is about to, maybe like one person is absent that day. We have a 4-3 vote. The mayor could make it a 4-4 and it becomes a tie, and then he breaks his own tie. That's what could feasibly happen in this situation. It just seems to me that the mayor should only be voting, we don't need this second provision, and the only time I could see this being something we need is if there's a tie, which we already have in number 1. So why do we have number 2?
Again, this is a requirement of state law.
Is it a requirement, or is it what they already have that we can override?
This is an express requirement in the Illinois Municipal Code.
And I think it's worth noting as a point of information that per city code, the threshold to pass an ordinance is not a simple majority. The threshold is 5 votes, the number 5.
Okay.
So if there were only 8 members present, or if there are only 7 members present, a 4-3 vote doesn't pass the ordinance.
So if we cannot change this, why are we talking about it at all?
I think that's staff's
You're
point.
amending the rules so that they are in line with state law and the city code, which is what this committee voted unanimously to do at the.
Okay.
So-
And so one more, you're asking, you brought this up for discussion, so if you didn't think it was worth discussing, then like.
No, I'm flagging it because this is language that we haven't seen. We asked
So
for it to be included.
basically what you're saying is that this line right here has more contextual understanding in like state and case law than is expressed here expressly. Because you mentioned previously that this only comes into play if there is a city council member missing, right? But it doesn't say that explicitly here, like if there is one vacancy.
Because that is the only instance in which one half of the council members then holding office have voted in favor of something, even though there's no tie.
Oh, okay, okay, I see. All right.
Mr. Mayor and then Councilmember Kelly.
I sort of can't believe we're arguing about this. It seems this is something that will basically never happen. I would ask those who are concerned, would your concerns be abated of a potential misinterpretation of this if it were amended to say when exactly one half of the council members then holding office? Because again, this literally only will come into play when there is a vacancy on city council, and even then, almost never. So you're talking about something that would happen once every 20 years, if that. And so I sort of suspect the anxiety is about a misinterpretation. Would the anxiety be resolved if we just said when exactly one half of the council members then holding office have voted in favor of an ordinance, so as to make crystal clear that this only would be potentially operative in the vanishingly rare occasion when one of the seats is vacant? And if that makes people more comfortable, I would be more than happy to make that motion.
Yes.
I move to add the word exactly after the word when and before the words one half of the council members ...
It's been moved by Mayor Biss to add the word exactly. I believe I heard a
Seconded.
second from Councilmember Davis. Let's not belabor the discussion. Okay.
So I watched it this evening when we deliberated over this, and I don't recall, we didn't vote 1. We only voted for 2, which is exactly as Daniel's explaining it. But that was all we voted for. And Alex Ruggie said that we can set our rules on this at the time. She was I thought, very explicit in saying, as a home rule, we can determine this. So I don't know, I almost feel like we should be watching that again, but I believe we only voted on 2, and we did not vote on 1.
Staff, do you want to rebut?
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Which items are you referring to?
I think
as
we
1
only
and 2?
voted on number 2, which is exactly that, when we're down one members, we only have 8 serving for 2. When I watched it, that was what we voted on. I thought was just 2.
I don't think you voted on anything that enumerated here. You voted to put it in line with what's written in state law, and that's what's now been inserted here.
Right. So there's a motion on the table to insert the word exactly. I'm going to call for a roll on that motion.
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Chair Nusma?
Aye. By a unanimous vote of 10-0, that motion carries. I think we are good to move on then from this section. Very good. Let's move on to the next item, which is the acting mayor language. And in previous meetings of this council, we had approved increasing the threshold from a simple majority to a 2/3 majority. Staff has subsequently done some research, and I'd like to turn to staff to offer their perspective on this particular item.
Yes, this is another section where there were two votes by the council. One was directing us to align this provision with state law. As you may recall, our current rules, state law, and the city code all say something a little bit different about how an acting mayor is selected. So this is to ensure that there's no daylight between what our rules require and what the state law, which is the controlling law, requires. We're also going to be bringing to you an ordinance change to correct our city code on this question as well. And then the second vote by the committee was to require that an acting mayor be elected by the city council by a 2/3 supermajority instead of a simple majority.
So I asked staff to research that 2/3 majority requirement, and if the legal department wants to weigh in on the legality, and if the city manager wants to weigh in on the advisability, I think we would appreciate that input.
Thank you, Chair Newsma. We have done a pretty significant amount of research and have not found anything that requires a particular level of majority vote. But there is quite a bit of state law that requires that a mayor and a single mayor be in charge of our particular form of government, and therefore, as I'm sure City Manager Stowe is going to explain, there is a level of possible problems with not having an actual mayor at any given time, and that's where most of the issue is here.
Right. So just to be clear, we could
Yes.
impose a 2/3 majority
Yes.
requirement. There's nothing in state law that
There's-
prevents us from.
There is nothing that prevents us from doing so, no. I'm sure Councilmember, City Manager Stowe will speak to other communities and their
Sure,
experiences.
sure. Thank you for that question. I think the bottom line is it's apparently permissible by state law, but it does seem like we would be an outlier. We're not aware of other municipalities that require the 2/3 versus a majority.
So that includes our peer communities.
I don't think we were able to find one community that does this, not just pure communities, but I don't think we were able to find another example.
Okay, so with that context in mind, I will go to Councilmember Isles, followed by, I believe it was Rogers and then Davis.
I'd like to make a motion that we make it just a simple majority to elect an acting mayor.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Isles, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we delete the supermajority requirement, which is essentially bringing us completely in line with no ups, no extras with state law. Is there discussion on this item? We said Davis, Rogers, and then Suffredin.
So the first question I have is, how many council members do we need to agree on the city manager and to fire the city manager?
This is supermajority for the city manager.
Okay, so I would say that the supermajority is about as important as, not the supermajority, the city manager is about as important as the mayor. So I'll take that back. I think the city manager is more important than the mayor. I don't think that we could really quite disagree with that, because the day-to-day operations of the city manager is a full-time job. And so I don't understand why we would have why we consider it more difficult to select a mayor than the city manager, especially given that this is a part-time position and given the weight of the city manager. So I guess like my main point is that it's strange to have it one way but not the other with regards to the mayor. The second point I'm going to make is that we have 2 council members on the city council that were appointed and then ended up subsequently reelected. And so it's a very sticky position to be appointed or to hold a position temporarily. And it, to some degree, guarantees who will end up possibly with a huge advantage in the subsequent election. I think that in the interest of democracy, that we should at the very least have a supermajority on the city council before we appoint someone to this position. And we don't make it so easy as for someone to come along and convince the other people that they want to be temporary mayor in order to be permanent mayor. I also have, I wonder if the people who are trying to flip this, and I'm going to also get to a point of order as well, are showing their aspirations and their bias and their fiduciary duties to our city. My point of order is that we already voted on this specific provision. So I thought that in order to bring something back, it had to be voted, moved by someone who previously, was it not someone who previously voted for it that has to bring it to move it back? Because if that's the case, I thought that council members Isles and Harris did not vote in favor of it the first time. So in order for it to come back, it has to be
I
someone who
wasn't here
did.
when we voted on this. It was June. I was on vacation.
Okay. So just the mover, does it have to be seconded by, can it be seconded by anyone, or does it also have to be?
I'll ask staff to confirm this, but the rule you're referring to applies to the passage of a resolution or ordinance,
Okay.
not to the nitty-gritty sausage-making work that we're doing
So we can just bring back votes on the exact same issue repeatedly if we want to.
An
Do you
order
want
would
to
be
do this
in
precedent
order-
given some of the council members on
Such a
this
motion
council?
would be in order.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else, Councilmember Davis?
No, that's it.
Okay. Councilmember Rogers, then Suffredin, and then Kelly.
Thank you. I would have to agree with lots of what Councilmember Davis said. I realize that we can bring things back repeatedly, but it seems like we do it based on who's in the room at the time. And if that is our policy, then I would say that when we get to the comprehensive general plan, I intend to relitigate a bunch of issues as I see fit, because that's what we're able to do. In terms of the 2/3, it is something we are allowed to do. The discussion that I listened to said that state law was quiet on this issue about whether a home rule city was able to do this. We, from my intention at the last meeting, voted to do this, to make it a 2/3 vote. At the minimum, I would like to see the language that has been stricken from here included regarding the 130 days and everything else, rather than just saying pursuant to some statute that nobody knows what it means without looking it up. So I would advise at least that be done. But this has never been an issue that I can think of before council. I think we all know why it is an issue this time. But I cannot support this. I voted against it previously, requiring a 2/3 vote, and I would do the same again. I think that Councilmember Davis makes an excellent point that if we indeed, it seems unfair that the 9 of us should be able to decide a mayor for up to 28 months or so, potentially being elected by us and not by the people. And to me, that seems a disenfranchisement of the people of the city of Evanston.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. I mean, depending on when a vacancy occurs, it could be up to a 2-year term. Is that correct? Statutes, right? I mean, it would be up to 2 years of an unexpired term. And in order to be the mayor of a city of 75,000 people, you would have to convince 4 other people to vote for you. I think that's bogus. And I think those of you who think a simple majority is enough know that it's bogus too. And I also think that it's unfortunate that we're in this situation. We're here because of a self-interested choice by someone who chose to run for mayor.
Councilmember Kelly.
So I agree with previous council members that just spoke, but a vote to reconsider is for any vote, Jonathan, not just for a resolution or ordinance. And I'm reading it right here, and it was Daniel that changed it from, and it has to happen in the same meeting. It can't happen at a subsequent meeting. I was very much against that, but that's how the rule is. Any vote may be reconsidered, but only at the same meeting at which said vote was taken. So it doesn't specifically say ordinance or resolution. So, I mean, this is, so this is, what we're saying is this coming back for reconsideration in violation of our rules.
I'm going to ask Assistant City Attorney Penrose to weigh in on that procedural question.
My apologies, Chair Newsome. I was looking at something regarding the city manager. So what was the question?
Councilmember Kelly is questioning the propriety of even having this discussion to reconsider something that had been previously voted on. Right. And we do have rules in place that allow, in my reading, votes on resolutions and ordinances to be reconsidered, but they're kind of silent on this level of policymaking detail.
Exactly. Excuse me. Those rules regarding reconsideration are for final votes on resolutions and ordinances.
Yeah. And as City Manager Stowe points out, we just did it a few minutes ago with the changing the special order of business threshold from 3 to 5. So if 5 to 3.
I'm sorry.
Right. So if it was appropriate then, it's appropriate now. I'd like to get beyond that procedural question and concentrate on the underlying issue here.
And Chair, just so you know, my hand
Yeah.
is up. Just so you know.
So Councilmember Kelly has the floor. And then we are going to Burns and Harikaris.
So it isn't silent. It does say any vote, and it lists a whole bunch of things like contracts, bond sales, confirming an appointment by the mayor to a commission. It lists, I mean, it really isn't silent. It's very clear that it's any vote to reconsider must happen at the same meeting. So I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns.
Yeah, if we're not supposed to do it, we shouldn't do it. So I would like further clarification on that point. If we are able to do it, I didn't vote for the 2/3 the last time. If the vote came up again, I wouldn't vote for it. I think a simple majority is fine. I think what's different between the mayor, at least the way I understand it, and if I'm incorrect, I'd like to, staff to respond to that. But what's different is we would presumably, it seems, if we're looking at history, it seems a lot easier to appoint a temporary city manager than it is than it may be to appoint an acting mayor. And so when we're trying to find a permanent city manager, that's when it requires a 2/3 majority. I don't necessarily think it requires that to appoint a interim city manager. We had several interim city managers before we finally selected Manager Stowe for that position. And so again, the 2/3 is to install a permanent city manager, whereas my understanding is what we're considering today is having any mayor at all. Like, we need a mayor, right? The mayor, I believe, signs ordinances, et cetera. We need a mayor, but if we can't find 2/3 support, we don't have a mayor to sign said ordinances. And so if all of that is correct, which I believe it is, that's why I think a simple majority in this case is fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns. Councilmember Harikaris.
So I, vote against the supermajority last time. As someone who was on council when we were picking a permanent city manager, the supermajority piece is incredibly hard to come to consensus. I think even more so when choosing amongst your own colleagues here. So that's why I didn't support it in the first place. I would, if we are allowed, I would vote for this change. I think it makes sense. And I also want to just clarify that when people say split, 5-4 is not a split, it's a majority. So just leave it at that.
Thank you, Councilmember Hadakaris. The Law Department's light is on.
Thank you, Chair Newsom. I just wanted to point out that Councilmember Burns is correct, that per the city code, when a city manager is absent for more than 30 calendar days, the city council shall designate a qualified administrative officer of the city to perform the duties. There's no requirement for a supermajority to fulfill and role.
Thank you. Before going to Councilmember Davis for a second time, I would like to weigh in here and state my support for just keeping our practice in line with state law, in line with apparently all other municipalities in Illinois that require only a simple majority. If there is a vacancy in the seat of mayor, and this may or may not happen in a year and a half, but the rules we are writing now will outlive us, and we should be focused on a longer term, what's in the best interest of the city, taking current personalities, current context, current situations out of it. If there is a vacancy in the seat of mayor, I think it is really important in a period of transition to have a solid plan for continuity of government. And raising the bar to make that transition more difficult, it strikes me not as bogus, but as totally appropriate and, in fact, good government. I think we have, hypothetically, if there is no body in the seat of mayor, we do have a mayor pro tem rotation, which is predetermined. We each have a seat as mayor pro tem should that need arise, but there are duties and responsibilities that the mayor pro tem is, by code prohibited from, does not have the authority that an acting mayor would have. I think it's very important we have an acting mayor should the current mayor resign or step down or vacate the office for whatever reason. We had previously discussed having a rotation of acting mayors, kind of elevating the mayor pro tem to an acting mayor status. I don't think that is advisable. And one of the takeaways from the legal review was underscoring the importance, and please correct me if I'm wrong or underscore me if I'm right, of having a single mayor in that office. And so in the context of, everything I've just said and, being congruent with the state constitution and as far as we know, every other municipality in Illinois, I think it makes sense just to, go by state law, which requires only a simple majority. Lights went on while I was talking, so let's go to Suffredin, Rogers, Davis, and then Kelly.
I'm sorry, man. I just got to call out the sanctimony on this. It's the continuity of government. These rules will outlive us. Look, if you can get 5, you can get 6. We can do ranked choice voting. We should be able to knock this out in one meeting. And again, I'm just going to point out, we're not talking about a mayor who's ill. He chose to put the city in this situation potentially. And frankly, I have no doubt if things turn out the way that he hopes, he'll game it so that whoever gets 4 votes, or 5, including themselves, will get a 2-year term rather than put this before the residents of Evanston. And I do think that's bogus. And I think if you ask people, they'd agree. So let's just remember who voted how on this, because I think it's critical. We're in an empty room right now, making rules that will outlive us. But the sanctimony coming out of the chair is, I don't want to say outrageous or surprising, just disappointing. And I'll leave it there.
So you said I was next, then you changed me to last of the queue.
Davis and then Rogers. Would that
Okay.
be better? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for.
So the first thing is that I also agree that if we want to do ranked choice voting and then whoever via ranked choice gets the first 6 votes, I'm fine with it. But the second thing that I'm going to say is that I want to re-clarify, and I want, this is for the council, the city attorney. So on page 28, when it says to permit subsequent vote on a motion which has been previously voted upon, a motion to, and this is on page 28 of our rules currently, a motion to reconsider must be made by a member who voted on the prevailing side of the vote to be reconsidered. So we're saying that this, when it says a vote, what is actually supposed to be there is a vote on an ordinance. That's the thing that is imaginarily in there. Not imaginarily, I'm sorry, that was inflammatory. I'm upset. That is assumed in that language, because it doesn't say that for the rest of everything else. So I don't understand like this. When we have tabling, we table votes, it says a vote. It doesn't say all votes or anything else, so.
I apologize if it was unclear. What I guess it comes down to is whether you consider this to be a motion to reconsider something that has been previously passed, as if the entire rules had been passed, or whether this is considering a draft of an agreement that you're negotiating out. So
We took a roll call vote, though, so it's a vote. I don't
I'm sorry, Councilmember Davis, if I could just weigh in here. Perhaps this issue can be settled without disagreeing with legal staff's interpretation of the rules. Let's note that Councilmember Harris seconded this motion, and in fact, Councilmember Harris was on the prevailing side previously.
I thought
So-
she just said that she wasn't. Were you on the prevailing side last time? Okay. All right, thank you.
Is that all, Councilmember Davis?
I actually don't think Councilmember Harris was on the prevailing side.
She was.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
Okay, all righty. Then it's all set.
Councilmember Rogers.
Thank you. Quick question for staff, legal, whoever wants to answer it. How long are pro tem terms for the mayor?
They're 5 months.
5 months?
I think it's about 5 months.
So is 5 months longer than 130 days? So we're talking about this like we are planning that we will be getting a mayor for at least 2 years, 28 months. And when we talk about what's in the best interest of the city, I think what's in the best interest of the city is actually putting a mayoral vote out to the public, asking them to weigh in and allowing them to make that decision, as opposed to 4 members of council plus the person who would be voting for themselves ostensibly. And I've heard a lot of talk about 2/3 is a high number and everything. And it's really shameful that we don't think we can work together to get 2/3 votes on things. This council has really found itself in a 5-4 split lots of the time on these issues. But you can point to some things where we do find ourselves having grocery tax, for one. Councilmember Suffredin joined 5 of the members, and I mean, we all know what our factions are up here. Let's not be ignorant and pretend we don't know these things. But if you can't put yourself in a position to try to win over 2/3, 5 other members of this body, to convince them that you deserve to be mayor for a 28-month period, that's really shameful that you don't think you can do that.
Councilmember Kelly and then Harris.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, it sounds like the rationale for not doing something that would be bring the council together more. We don't want to do it because it's a little bit harder. Like, we're going to end up with a acting mayor either way, but it shouldn't be because it's going to take just a little more work that we're not doing this. I mean, certainly we should be able to figure this out so that we get to 2/3. And certainly there's also, if we don't get to 2/3, I mean, we could also consider, but I think we should get to 2/3. But I was going to say we could also go with the most senior council member in the event that we can't get to 2/3, could also be considered. But I don't like the tone of, the sense that we don't want to do this just because it's a little more difficult than just going with the simple majority.
Councilmember Harris and then Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. So when I
My hand is up, sir.
Let's go to Councilmember Harrison, then Councilmember Burns, and then Councilmember Davis.
Okay, thank you so much. So yes, I was on the prevailing side and didn't quite understand at that time, as some of us don't understand the ramifications, and watching how we've moved collectively, really not collectively. And I want this to benefit the city. And I think that, again, we have split decisions up here. We're not very clear. People pick sides. I believe we pick sides based on who made the motion, who did this and that. And I don't know that a supermajority is necessary. The people that were appointed before overwhelmingly won elections more than once. We've picked our city manager. So I am asking for the reconsideration. Whether it's sanctimonious or not, I'm not sure, but yes.
Councilmember Burns and Davis.
And just for clarification, can the mayor pro tem, what can't they do? I guess is the way to answer that question. What authority or powers are not granted to them?
The mayor pro tem shall perform the duties and possesses all the rights and powers of the mayor with the exception of the mayor's voting powers. So for instance, vetoing an ordinance is something that the mayor pro tem could not do. Tie breaking is something the mayor pro tem could not do. I will also note that the acting mayor statute specifically envisions that there be a single person who's filling the role as acting mayor for the duration of the term, not that there be sort of a rotating set of people occupying that space. So that's what state law contemplates in that instance.
All right, Councilmember Davis and then Kelly, and then we need to kind of wrap this up here.
I'm not in a rush to wrap it up because we're basically talking about how we're going to appoint our next mayor. If certain events happen, but I want to clarify, I'm sorry, I can't let it go. I have a legal background and I also have a very strong sense of when something feels unfair. This is a motion to reconsider. I don't think that we can paint it any other way. And we have rules that we're talking about right now for what counts as a motion to reconsider. And it also specifically says that that motion has to be made at the same meeting. So if we're not going to follow the rules, first of all, why are we here? We'll start there. But secondly, remove it, make it consistent. We can't play these games where we have rules apply sometimes, not other times. I want to know when something is proper in a motion. And what I'll also bring up, while I'm airing some dirty laundry that has upset me slightly, when we were talking about the Envision Evanston provision regarding upzoning, I talked to someone on council and they said, actually I didn't talk to someone, I talked to the mayor, and he said, I hope that when we have this revote to be back in procedure, that we don't change the language, right? And so I take issue with the fact that we are revisiting an issue that we already, discussed and decided. We're talking about the exact provision. There are no differences. There's nothing added. It's not even a slight modification the way the Envision Evanston clause was. And we have a motion to reconsider that is being made improperly and not according to the rules. And I will not let it go. I will not let it go. I disagree with, I actually think that at this point, the city's attorney has conceded, as have a couple members of city council. And if we concede that this is a motion to reconsider, it's improper. And I also do not take, and I hate when people say, well, we did the wrong thing before, let's keep doing the wrong thing. That's absurd. So I don't care what vote we did earlier. If you want to strike that vote because it's improper, do it. The 3 votes or 5 votes for city council or whatever else, or for making a special order of business, we can do it. As it applies to this, if we are so worried that we can't get it together to get a supermajority, then I would rather we just pick someone at random. So because if we're trying to pretend as if it doesn't matter, as if whoever's in that position has no say or has no sway on the next mayoral election, then I believe that all of us were equally elected because wards are about the same size and we are equally competent, I hope that you would think, and if you don't, you should think about how you feel as a, with regards to camaraderie, and not make it something that we can use as a political ploy. And if the threat of a random person being picked out that you don't like isn't enough to help you to decide who you can concede and plausibly find palatable, then that's what it is. So if we are going to, well, first, as I've said repeatedly, and I need very, very clear explanation because I'm not buying it, and I don't really appreciate how people keep skirting over the fact that this is a rule and a motion to reconsider, and it's by the book. Like, it's not even slight deviation. Once we concede that this is not a motion to reconsider, and that there is language in here that is not explicit, that is like pretext, I need that clarified. I want it specific. I want it added in. All right, it should be in here. And then I also, after that, I would be up for making a motion, assuming that this is a proper motion to reconsider, or this is not a motion, that we also make it an option for, by a majority vote, the mayor can be selected at random. So that is my question. My question specifically to council, to the city attorney again is, we are sure that this is not a motion to reconsider, because I will be asking outside the context of this space to clarify, because I'm fairly confident it is.
Thank you for your question, Councilmember Davis. The rule that that I was looking at is 22 about reconsideration. So votes to approve a purchase, contract, bond sale, zoning variation, or special use, those may be reconsidered at the same meeting. But the vote taken on any other motion may be reconsidered, but only at the next regular meeting, held after the meeting at which said vote was taken. And unless I have a completely wrong version of, okay, I apologize. I'm going to have to look into this some more. Hold on.
I would suggest maybe going on to the next one, but the same procedural question is going to apply to the next one. Tabling this for now. All right, so let's move on down the list. Isles.
A chance to speak.
Okay, Councilmember Isles.
I made the motion, yeah. First of all, I made a motion, and it's still something that we need to deal with. It wasn't a motion to reconsider. This is a draft document. There's a lot of, outrage, like this is some sort of nefarious game that we're playing, but staff researched this. This is standard in the state of Illinois. I mean, it's how we choose a temporary city manager. It's a 5-4 vote. I'm sorry if that seems unjust, but it isn't. It's a majority of council that chooses a temporary mayor. It's a majority of council that chooses a temporary city manager. There's nothing nefarious about it. And changing a draft document doesn't seem like that big of a hurdle. It certainly wasn't this big of a hurdle 45 minutes ago when we took a vote on it. And we've changed multiple things about the comprehensive plans draft too. And we've revisited a few issues on that. So I really don't think there's anything nefarious going on here. This is just basic debate on where we stand as a body on a certain issue. And there's also some sort of side comments about the fact that we tend to land 5-4 on issues with this council, and that it's somehow the fault of the 5 that we haven't gotten more people to our side. It's equally the responsibility of the 4 to find common ground.
Councilmember Harris, Kelly Burns, and then Suffredin.
Thank you so much. I just had some questions. So, Councilmember Davis, I just wanted to understand pick the mayor at random. I just didn't understand what that meant. Random from where?
When we have our ballot, when you're put on the ballot, they just assign you by random what order you're going to be in. And the state sets what they consider to be appropriate ways to randomly decide the ballot position.
But between us,
So we would just do it the same way.
between us though?
Yes.
Okay. I needed clarity on that. And I'm just trying also be kind of going to his nefariousness. Let me ask, because I could be wrong. Have we voted on this document as our guiding document yet, or just pieces to get, we have to have a final vote, correct?
Correct. You'll recall at the past two meetings, we heard motions and made amendments. The document in front of you is an attempt to incorporate all of those amendments. Hopefully tonight, this body will vote on the document and send it to City Council for further deliberation.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I could be wrong, because I'm human most of the time. So those were my two main questions. I have some more, but I think that I'll stop there.
Okay. We've got Councilmember Kelly and then Burns and then Suffredin.
Yeah, so I feel very strongly that this motion should be withdrawn, this motion to reconsider. It's really out of order. And I, feel very strongly about that because I didn't even like this reconsideration rule that, came in last term where it had to happen at the same meeting. And I fought against it, but now we have it, so let's stick to it. Let's not bend the rules. And it's very clear. It says for any vote. It says motion. It lists, in some cases you need 2/3, in some cases you need a simple majority at the same meeting. But the language is very clear. And this is a motion to reconsider what we voted on last time. This is out of order, so I think it should be, it should be dropped immediately, and we should stay what we voted on, which was a 2/3 vote. That would be following our rules. And anything short of that would be making a mockery of our rules and of the Rules Committee.
Point of information, didn't we just vote on something that we voted on before at the beginning of this meeting? I'm asking for point of information. Did we not just do that at the request of Councilmember Kelly? I'm just asking, or Council, who?
No, I made that motion. If someone had told me, I just didn't remember we did it before. And if someone
But-
raised an
but-
objection.
but we did it before.
If someone raised an objection, I would have withdrawn it.
Right, but,
And I'm
but
raising an
right is
objection
right,
now.
whether we understood it to be right or
Undo
wrong.
it. I make a motion to
I-
undo the
I-
last
I-
thing, so we can be in
I-
compliance.
I'm going to call for order. Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Kelly still has the floor. Councilmember Kelly, if you're done, Councilmember Burns is next.
Yeah, so again, I think we should just move on. We should maintain what we voted on last time, and we should not break our own rules. That's all. Thank you.
So noted. Councilmember Burns, Suffredin, Rogers. Mayor Biss, are you in there? Okay. Councilmember Burns.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is this something that we can move to the next, rules meeting? Do we need to figure this out today? Because I honestly, I think the mistake that was made and what I would support today, if we just have to do something, is a suspension of the rules if we're all interpreting it in the way that Councilmember Davis is to allow for this to happen. So I think the mistake that we made is voting on a draft if we want to be consistent, because I see this in the same way I did the comp plan. This is in the same way that the comp plan, the final vote is going to happen at a later point, and we've used these meetings to try to arrive at a final version of it. I see the way we've handled the rules in the same manner. So maybe the mistake we made is voting on it in the first place. Maybe we just should have gave general direction until the final vote. And if we need to suspend the rules to clarify that, I'd be happy to do it. But it is a draft. It is consistent with the way that we've worked out drafts before, which is why until it was controversial for certain people, they didn't recognize that they were doing something that now they recognize, because now it doesn't favor something that they want to see happen. And, so but again, I'm open to, suspending the rules so that we can continue to handle this draft as we do other drafts, or, holding this or tabling it to our next rules meeting so we can move forward, allow ourselves to consider other proposals on how we might be able to do this. Either one of those I would support. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns. Mayor Biss is seeking recognition for the first time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I've been quiet on this issue for obvious reasons, namely that by definition, whatever might trigger this provision would certainly involve me not being around to implement it, unlike the rest of you. But the question that's now before us is one that directly impacts my conduct of my role as mayor. And so I just want to really, from the Corporation Council, seek clarification to make sure that I'm doing my job properly going forward. My understanding is that a motion to reconsider is a motion that one might file after a vote has been taken to say, I actually have changed my mind. I want to make a motion to reconsider. If that passes, we reopen the question, and then we take another vote on the previous item where I get to then vote differently because I've changed my mind. What I understood Councilmember Isles to do, maybe I got this wrong, but what I understood Councilmember Isles to do is to say, hey, here we are making a bunch of amendments on a thing over the course of a number of months, and I'm going to make another amendment. And that, as Councilmember Burns said, is how not only how we've handled the comprehensive plan, but how I as mayor have handled everything, which is to say when an item is open, a motion gets made to make an amendment, that motion passes or fails, and then there's an opportunity for others to make another motion to make another amendment. And so I would just ask for guidance from the Corporation Counsel's office about, in all those instances, are those sort of secretly motions to reconsider? Or is it in fact the case that while an item is live, it's in order for a series of motions to be made proposing a series of different amendments to the same language?
Thank you, Mayor Biss. That has been certainly in the process of creating any draft document in particular. That has been the way things have been done.
Let me just, I just want to clarify my question. I'm not trying to, and maybe this is a little bit different than what Councilmember Isles said. I'm not trying to sort of create a potentially artificial distinction between a draft document and something else. I'm saying, let's say we're debating an ordinance. The ordinance is under discussion. Somebody makes a motion to amend it, that motion passes or doesn't, then someone makes a motion to make a different amendment, that motion passes or doesn't. It might affect the previous motion that was already adopted, the previous amendment that's already adopted. In that situation, must that be a motion to reconsider, or is it allowable for a motion to amend something that perhaps undoes a previous amendment already adopted to just be made as a motion to amend? That's my specific question.
No, council may always, vote to change things that it's done previously. That whether you call it an amendment or not, I would definitely not consider that the same thing as a motion to reconsider, which would come up in a situation where somebody wishes to change a vote that they had just made, as opposed to making an amendment to something that council has done previously, and now there needs to be a change done. That certainly is consistently within the function of government to be able to make those changes.
All right, so I want to be clear that the direction we are receiving from legal staff is that this discussion is in order, as was the previous discussion we had to change the requirement to.
As a point of order, the
to
three
convene,
members, according to the minutes, was
convene,
never voted on.
a
It was
special order
withdrawn,
of
so it's
business.
not considered a motion to reconsider. It's
So
on the minutes,
this
July 25th.
conversation is in order, is what we are, is the direction we are being given from legal staff. So, Mayor Biss still has the floor. We are then going to go to Sufford and Rogers, Davis and Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Liza, this is a question for you that hopefully is just a single issue question. I'll ask it before you get up there. So obviously the duration of the acting mayor's time depends on when a vacancy occurs. The appointment to the subsequent council member vacancy, that is the appointment of the person who is the acting mayor.
So with the caveat that I have not looked into this.
Yeah, and I'm not
super
trying to
recently.
play gotcha. I'm just trying to understand the
My understanding
stakes
is
here.
that under the Illinois Municipal Code, when someone becomes an acting mayor, that person has to decide if they will resign their elected seat in order to obtain and exercise the powers of the mayor, including the power to vote and veto in accordance with mayoral powers, or not to resign as a council member. And if they choose not to resign, they still exercise their mayoral powers. So there's a question, first of all, about whether the person resigns their council seat or not. Once a mayor or president is elected and qualified, the person who served as acting mayor will return to their original position as a council member for the remainder of the term.
So that doesn't seem to apply. And you can get it to me when I'm not trying to make you do research on the fly, but my question is, depending on the timing,
Yeah.
the person who is appointed acting mayor by 4 votes who are not themselves would also get to pick their successor for a period up to 28 months without a single vote being cast by a member of the public.
I'm not sure if that's correct or not. I would need to double check.
Okay, can you, you've had a
Yeah.
tough night, if you could follow up on that,
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks.
Councilmember Rogers, then Davis, then Kelly.
I was going to make the exact same point Councilmember Davis was trying to make just a moment ago. It's not true that we reconsidered or voted again on the 3 council member rule. That was withdrawn. It was never voted on. So I just want to clear that for the record, that there was no vote taken on that, so you can't equate the two.
In the minutes that we all just approved. In the minutes that we all just approved, it says it.
Councilmember Davis then has the floor.
I would like to make a motion to, I guess, like hold or stay, whichever one is appropriate, this particular issue until until council, city's attorney is able to make a stronger recommendation as to what is proper. So for the next meeting, I guess. Is the table, a motion to table?
I would support that to the next meeting. The first way you explained it might be a little confusing, but if we could just table it to the next rules meeting, I would support that.
I will take that as a motion from Councilmember Davis, a second from Councilmember Burns to table this item until the next meeting of the Rules Committee. Is that everybody's understanding?
Point of information,
Yeah.
and I have no preference here, I'm just curious, is this tabling item R6? Or is it tabling this sub-question before us with the intention of continuing more R6 stuff after?
The latter.
So tabling this particular item until the next meeting of the Rules Committee. Okay. Just want to make sure that motion to table is in order because there is a motion on the table. Is the motion to table in order? I believe so. So let's, and that's not debatable, let's take a vote on the motion to table discussion of this section until the next meeting of the Rules Committee.
Okay. Councilmember Suffredin. Aye. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Isles.
No.
Mayor Biss.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. So by a vote of 9-1, the motion to table this item until the next meeting of the Rules Committee carries. Let's continue the discussion then of the other issues with, we'd like to make sure we have a full understanding of. So if you go to the next one, I believe this one is going to be city council meeting times? No, conflict of interest. So if staff could just explain what we're doing here.
Yes, as you'll recall, one of the directions from this committee at a previous meeting was to create a new process by which council members could disclose a conflict of interest to Corporation Council by the morning of the day of a council meeting. Corporation Council would then render a decision on whether the conflict exists or not. So this is new language that you have not seen before, implementing that direction. And I think one point that it would be helpful to have clarification on is whether this is a mandatory or a discretionary requirement. The draft in front of you makes it a discretionary option. It says may rather than shall, to allow the possibility that a council member could still legitimately disclose a conflict if it comes up after the morning of a council meeting.
So let me just read it back to you. What we're doing is just hopefully should receive unanimous support. We are just making it clear that council members, if they fail to disclose a conflict of interest by 10 a.m. Of the morning of the meeting, they can still recuse themselves up till the time of the discussion. The rules accommodates that and contemplates that potentiality.
Correct, and there are also in this section some additional language changes to bring it into conformance with our ethics code as well.
Are we making the change from may to shall or shall to may?
The draft in front of you says may, but we're looking for, first of all, just bringing this to your attention as new language that has not been before you previously, and second, looking for direction on whether may is the correct way to draft this.
So what we need to do, in my opinion, is make sure the rules contemplate a council member recusing themselves at the last minute. And so you're saying that using shall rather than may is the way to accomplish that?
The inverse.
Yeah, because it says may, well, never mind. Go ahead.
That if it's an option to disclose a conflict to Corporation Council by 10 a.m., that does not mean the council member thereby forfeits the ability to disclose a conflict if it comes up later. For instance, if the council member becomes aware of a conflict in the middle of a meeting.
If it says shall and somebody misses that window, then they're out of compliance. But if we keep it as may, then it gives them the ability to say at the last minute that they've realized that there's a conflict.
So the language says may, we should be good.
Correct.
So why are we even having this discussion?
Because it's new language.
Because it's new language? Yes. Okay, got it. So in the opinion of staff, the draft language, which is in that upper box and which is in the draft document as part of the packet, is satisfactory and addresses the concern.
Yes, this is just calling this new language to the committee's attention.
So hopefully no changes necessary, but nonetheless, there was discussion. So Councilmember Suffredin and then Rogers.
Yeah, my only suggestion is the last sentence, the Corporation Council shall issue a determination on whether a conflict exists no later than 1 hour before the public meeting begins. As we know, that is a moving target. Maybe there's a different way to phrase that when the meeting is scheduled to begin. I mean, council meetings don't start at a particular time. I think, if it's posted for 6:30 and the notification's in at 5:30, that's more definitive. That's my only request. I assume that makes everyone's life easier. That's all. So I would just change the time designation to something more concrete.
Do you have a motion to make?
Well, Liza, what do you suggest? I would move that the language be changed to 1 hour before the public meeting is scheduled to begin or posted. Whatever is the most official. All right, so that's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Suffredin, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we amend the language to read 1 hour before the scheduled meeting time.
Yeah, or I mean, whatever, so that it's an actual time.
Yes.
It's 1 hour minus.
Before the published meeting time.
Perfect.
Okay. It's been seconded by Councilmember Harris. Is there any debate on this question? Seeing none, I will call the roll.
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye, but I'm sorry, is this just on the amendment from Tom? Okay.
This is just on the amendment.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Mayor Biss.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
I believe that was an aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Also an aye, so by a vote of 10 to nothing, that motion passes. The wording will now be no later than 1 hour before the published meeting time. Is there any further discussion on this item? Councilmember Suffredin still has the floor. If not, then we go to Councilmember Rogers.
So my question is, so this really is just if we want to question whether or not we have a conflict and we want to speak to Corporation Counsel about it. We can recuse ourselves at any point if we know or feel that we have a conflict of interest that we don't, that we shouldn't be voting on something. I mean, we aren't being compelled to vote on something if we feel that we have a direct conflict of interest. Is that correct? So, I mean, basically, if I determine, like, I have a conflict of interest in a matter, I don't have to come to Corporation Counsel and ask for their opinion, do I? It's if I have a question
Again,
about whether
the
or
way
not
this is drafted, it is an optional.
Okay, I just want to
course
make
of
sure
action.
that I was reading it and understanding it correctly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is that good? All right, Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. I think there's a couple of important words missing from this, and I think they're frequently missing when we have this debate. The last sentence, the Corporation Counsel shall issue a determination on whether a conflict or an appearance of conflict of interest. And so I think that should be, I'd like to amend it, move to amend to add those words, an appearance of conflict of interest.
Let's make sure we understand what your motion is. Can you read that first sentence, including your amended
Yeah, the last
language?
sentence. So the last sentence, the Corporation Counsel shall issue a determination on whether a conflict of interest or an appearance of a conflict of interest exists. So just adding the words or an appearance of conflict of interest. Right, but it's not, but at the end, the Corporation Counsel, the determination they're making is not if there's just a conflict, an actual conflict, but also if there is an abundance of evidence that there's the appearance. So we've had this debate on the dais where, folks said, I'm completely impartial about, so I just think it's really important that that's in there, that the determination is not just about, yes, you have a conflict, but, it could heavily appear to the public that you have a conflict, so.
Councilmember Kelly has made a motion. Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Kelly, seconded by Councilmember Rogers, that we add or appearance of conflict of interest to the last sentence. Is there discussion on this motion, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not in the top ranks of the people in this room in the category of having a law degree, but I'm just curious if the law department could weigh in. Is the question of whether there's an appearance of conflict of interest a legal matter?
Thank you, Mayor Biss. That's exactly what I was thinking in my head. I'm not sure that that's something that the Corporation Counsel would be comfortable deciding, since it is not something that can be sort of ruled on from a straightforward legal matter. But I would want to confirm or speak to Corporation Counsel as to what she's comfortable with there.
Councilmember Rogers.
Thank you. I would say that the advice that we are given about whether it's an appearance or not, we can take that as we wish, about whether or not it is a true conflict. If Corporation Counsel, COS or COU, that one, comes back and says, this may appear that way, we are aware of that at least as a council member and can do with that as we choose. Would be my only input into that.
Mr. Mayor.
In light of the comment from from Attorney Penrose, I would move to table this item as well until the next meeting of the Rules Committee so we can hear Alex Reggi's view before voting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mayor Biss, seconded by Councilmember Isles, that we table this item to the next meeting of the Rules Committee. A motion to table is not debatable. I will ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Chair Nusma?
Aye. All right, so that item is tabled. We have three more. Hopefully, we can get through these quickly. The next one is maybe also in the category of reconsideration. And so since there is some procedural question as to whether or not we can reconsider something that we have previously voted on, I'm going to make a motion that we table this one as well.
I'll second.
It's been moved by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Rogers, that we table this item until the next meeting of this Rules Committee. Motions to table are not debatable. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Chair Nusma?
Aye. So that item is tabled. Let's move on to the next one, which is the application of rules to standing committees. Staff, do you want to provide context on this one, please?
Sure. As you may recall, at the last committee meeting, the direction was that these rules would apply to standing committees, but that staff should develop a template set of rules for other BCCs that are not standing committees, that those BCCs could then adopt or amend at their discretion. So this is just implementing that change.
Right. And I also want to acknowledge, however, that BCCs are not the city council. These rules say the mayor breaks a tie, for example, so they're not necessarily directly applicable in all cases, all sections to BCCs, but the suggested change clarifies what has been, a common understanding, leaves open the possibility that some future amendments can still happen. So with that, I am going to ask for discussion, starting with Councilmember Kelly.
A point of information, are we talking about standing committees only or all BCCs?
Standing
Only
committees
standing committees.
Okay, because you said BCCs, so I wanted to clarify
Thank you for-
which one we're talking
Yeah,
about.
Thank you for
the
that.
direction was that these rules would
Yep,
apply
I
to
just wanted to
standing
make sure before we
clarification.
started into debate.
Only standing committees. I misspoke. Thank you.
And BCCs would be governed by procedures that they could adopt
I
themselves.
just wanted to clarify for debate.
Thank you. Councilmember Kelly.
Sorry, that was left on from the last one.
Okay, no further debate on this question. I will call the roll on this one.
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
I'm sorry, hold on one
Yeah.
second. I'm interrupting this vote. There was no motion.
Right, thank you.
There does not need to be a motion.
You can just keep it.
I was irrationally exuberant. If we do nothing, this language stays in the draft. Yeah, okay. I think you were about to catch me on
Yeah, I was,
on
yeah.
that. Okay, thank you. All right, last and not least then, this is new language in its current form, not yet seen by this committee, not yet considered by this committee. In previous drafts, there was just a placeholder language TBD, and this language has now been drafted and is before us for consideration.
Yes, and this is, one of the points of direction from the committee was to add, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this in my draft. We have an existing rule that I don't have right in front of me. Okay, it's existing rule 6.4, which regards presentations before the Planning and Development Committee. There was a request from this body that that rule or something like it be added to the draft. This is a slightly modified version of the existing rule 6.4.
Is there any discussion on this language? Councilmember Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for law. When we say any individual or institution listed as being represented by the group shall forfeit their right to speak individually on the matter, are we stepping on anyone's First Amendment rights there? Just because I belong to a group does not mean that I necessarily want that group speaking for me. So I'm going to use an example. Design Evanston, we all know. Design Evanston comes forward and supports a project. I, as a member of Design Evanston, listed on their website, do not support that position. Am I giving up my right to speak because they're being allowed to speak as a group before us? We struggled with this when we made this rule in land use about how far do the groups go?
You're exactly anticipating my response, which is that this is modeled after procedures that have been used in Land Use Commission.
Okay, that's not the way it was modeled when I was chair. Those people did not sacrifice their time. Lots of people did speak even though they were parts of groups because of the fact that we said that the core group who presented as the group was not afforded the time. So if you spoke as president of the group and Ms. Flax spoke as the vice president of the group, you forfeited your time by giving the presentation. But that somebody else who was a member of the group did not sacrifice or forfeit their time because that's their First Amendment right to speak on that issue. It works well if everybody agrees. It doesn't work if there's disagreement.
Sarah Flax, Community Development Director. What we are trying to require is that who is being spoken for, the list is provided. So somebody could choose not to be on that list. But one of the challenges we run into is we can get we can give somebody time to speak on behalf of an organization, and then you have an hour and a half of people speaking individually. And there's got to be some way of controlling that. And at P&D, it gets even more complicated because of the time limits at P&D. So that's really what we're trying to solve. I wish there were a perfect solution.
Can I, if I could, Councilmember Rogers, suggest some potential alternative language that might solve this problem? So I'm looking at the last sentence. What if that last sentence read as, or the second to last sentence, what if it read as follows? Any individual or institution listed as representing the group shall forfeit their right to speak individually on the matter.
I'm fine with that language, but I don't think that we should, if you have a group of 4,000 members, all 4,000 aren't probably going to show up to speak first off, but it's also very hard to speak as
right. So the
representing all 4,000.
The president of that group can speak as representing 4,000
But
folks.
then they don't get to speak
They
as an
don't get
individual.
to speak as an individual.
Right.
3,999 other people can.
Theoretically, yes.
The chair will entertain a motion.
I would move that the sentence be rewritten to read, any individual or institution listed as being a representative of the group shall forfeit the right. Is that right? I don't think that.
Yeah, what did you say? Because what you said was good.
Could you repeat what you
Yeah,
said?
Take out institution.
Take out institution, okay. Any individual listed as being a representative of the group shall forfeit their right to speak.
Right. So there is a motion by Councilmember Rogers, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Kelly to change the language to read, any individual listed as representing the group shall forfeit their right to speak, and so on and so forth. The motion is on the table with a motion and a second. Is there any conversation, discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I will call for a roll on this motion to amend. I'm sorry, Kathy, did you have your light on?
I did, because I was not concerned so much about the First Amendment issue, but it would have to be clarified as to what listed as being represented by. But you seem to have changed it to the reverse, which I'm not sure addresses what the original concern was, but it also removes any issue, First Amendment issue. But, I mean, if someone is saying, I am agreeing to be represented by this person at this entity at this meeting, then there's no concern about a First Amendment issue. It's not the issue that I'm a member generally of this group and therefore they can speak for me. It's I'm going to list myself as being
But that gets
represented.
very muddy, as we discovered, as to who you're speaking for, who's listed as the group membership, things like that. So I think it makes it much more clear that what we had tried to address was that you didn't get double the time to speak. That you didn't get to speak and say, I'm here representing Acme Widgets, and then say, hi, I'm Matt Rogers, private citizen as well, and therefore getting double dipping, as it were.
The concept makes sense. As I understand, the question from legal counsel is, how do we define listed? Or where is it listed?
If you were going to keep the language as is, yes, but it seems that you're flipping it so that it's an individual who's being the representative who only can speak once, as opposed to the representative speaks for a group. So
So we're comfortable.
Exactly.
Councilmember Kelly, I think I'd call the roll, and let's go on with the roll.
Councilmember Suffredin? Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. So by a vote of 10-0, that motion passes unanimously. Is there any other discussion on this section? Seeing none, Councilmember Kelly.
So I feel like 10 minutes is really short, not that it would be not nice to hold it to that, but I just think of, we don't have often applicants, and it just seems limiting it to 10. I think it should be at the discretion, but I would say to no more than 15 minutes. I just think that seems like an incredible, between PowerPoints and people speaking. So I think 10 minutes for an applicant to present a development is really, really limited. So I would like to move that to 10 minutes. Then I'd also like to move that at the chair's discretion, time not to exceed that allotted to the applicant.
Can you
For the second
restate
part.
that motion, please?
Sure, so I'd like to move that it be no more than 15 minutes
For the applicant.
for the applicant, period. And then in the sentence beginning with, at the chair's discretion, time not to exceed that allotted to the applicant. I mean, our community members should be as important.
Rather than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is on the table to allow the applicant up to 15 minutes and to allow committees up to the same amount of time.
Time, right, not to exceed.
Is
the
there
time
a
allotted.
second to that motion? That motion fails for lack of a second. Councilmember Kelly, you still have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, I don't know why we would, I mean, a community organization to be able to present, I don't know why we'd limit them to only 5 minutes if it's something impacting their community. And I still think 10 minutes for an applicant is also short. So I'm disappointed, but I don't know. I guess I don't understand why. I'd like to know why folks don't think our community members, if they're represented by an organization, should be allotted so
The
little time.
motion failed for lack of a second, so.
Can't discuss it. I think it should be discussed. We're here to represent our
The
residents.
motion failed for
here.
lack of a second, so I'd like to move on by recognizing Councilmember Herdikaris and then Rogers.
Just as like a point of information around, P&D, our last meeting we had, I told the applicant 10 minutes, community group 5. The applicant went over. He went a total of 13. The community group went over, and they had 10 minutes. So overall, like 15 minutes is a long time to talk. I think, I wasn't going to cut them off. I was letting them go through their slides. Some people do better timing their slides than others. And, I just let them go the course because we only had 2. But just a little bit of context around like what it actually like looks like in practice. So personally, I think if they should be able to get through in 10 and 5, but there's always that leeway.
Councilmember Davis, and then back to Kelly.
So Councilmember Herdikaris, are you saying that the chair can modify that if they feel it's appropriate?
I mean, I think, like me personally, I'm not going to cut somebody off. So if they're like mid-sentence, I'm not going to say, hey, we're done, so it's, but there's obviously times when, it's also hard chairing a meeting sometimes because especially if you have people who are online, they can't hear the buzzer. And that's like the really awkward one, which I wish there was some better technology piece because a lot of times I always feel bad because, you can have the visual cues when someone's here in the chambers and, I'm also pretty quick to silence the buzzer. But I'll just, make eye contact. So there's like this discretion there. Yeah, well, not dirty looks. I just kind of like, okay, we're wrap up your thought. So I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's a guideline. I think it'd be extremely rude if I started like waving my hands. Hey, come on, stop with the. So it's a soft.
I'm just clarifying
yeah.
that in a sense, this is a minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah.
All right. So Councilmember Davis, you had the floor. Are you done?
So I guess like what I'm wondering here based on, I'm just wondering like complaints that people can have. So based on Councilmember Herdikaris's explanation or like testimony of sorts, if it says not to exceed 5 minutes and we give someone more than that, like what realistically would happen? Like you can't really file a complaint on that basis, right? So like they just got more time. I don't know, because the language says not to exceed. So, but it sounds to me like it's really just like a recommended or a promise of like 5 minutes, basically.
Let me offer some context as chair. I think one very relevant example is public comment before every city council meeting where there is a time limit, but the mayor at his discretion, I don't think has ever turned off the microphone at 60.0 seconds.
Okay.
And Councilmember Herdikaris is, saying the same thing as chair of whoever's chairing P&D will have, can use their discretion.
Okay, all righty. That's it. Thank you.
All right.
One
Was
last
it
comment.
Rogers or Kelly? Kelly, thank you.
So, I just want to say, I think it's important that we have rules that are reasonable and that we don't have to rely on potential. And I appreciated your, Juan, how you handled that meeting, and that was great, but I mean, I prefer that we just had rules that are reasonable and made sense, as opposed to, well, you know, this chair might allow you, you know, you community group to exceed 5 minutes. So I think this, I mean, saying you have a community group, like I know when we're, the development on Chicago Avenue, where we had the First United Methodist Church representing so many people, I mean, if they had been, you know, frequently would present on behalf of the church, but to 5 minutes, that just would have been unreasonable. There were slides and presentations, and I just think that if there's a way to word it so that there is some flexibility in there, but again, I also feel that it's tilted, you know, we're giving twice as much time to an applicant, and the community folks are restricted, so. Anyway,
Councilmember
I
Kelly's comments are noted. If you have a motion, a new motion, you're free to make one. Otherwise,
Okay.
we're going to go to Councilmember Rogers.
So I guess my only new motion then would be at the chair's discretion, time not to exceed that allotted. So I'll skip the first part, 10 minutes. I'll remove that, but just instead a second motion with only the second sentence to say, at the chair's discretion, time not to exceed that allotted to the applicant. So keeping it at 10.
So does everybody understand Councilmember Kelly's motion, and is there a second? That motion fails for lack of a second. Councilmember Rogers.
Just to provide a little bit of context here, it's up to the applicant to convince us that they have the project, that we are the proposal or whatever it is that they're trying to convince us of. And we ran into this with the stadium. Northwestern was granted time. Applicants were granted time. If you look at the time that the objectors were granted time as well. When you look at how much time was granted to each one of them, it definitely favored the objectors. They had 5, 6, I don't remember, 8 groups. I don't remember what the exact number is, that were each given 10 minutes, and the university was given 30 minutes. So it obviously skews that way. I also think this is the compromise between, if you start giving so much time to an objector, and I'm just using that term loosely, I don't mean that they are objectionable or anything like that with their arguments, it's just they're in opposition to the proposal. Then you start to cut into this, if we're giving so much time for these presentations, that starts to cut into how much time do you give to everybody else to speak? And so the people who are speaking on their own outside of the group suddenly find themselves with 30 seconds or 45 seconds because the time has all of a sudden shifted to the groups. And so I think that's why the groups in opposition to any proposal always get less time, because when you look at how much time is given to the weight of the arguments on each side, it tends to favor those who come out in opposition.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Motion withdrawn. I don't see any further discussion on this item, so this item will proceed to our next meeting as is. That brings us to the end of our agenda this evening. We did set ourselves up for another meeting of the Rules Committee before too long. Let's not try and schedule that right now, but let us entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, ILCS 120/2C, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding litigation. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2C11.
It's been moved by Councilmember Isles, seconded by Councilmember Harris, that we resolve into executive session. We need a roll call vote since Councilmember Burns is online.
Councilmember Suffredin, Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers? Aye. Councilmember Harakaris?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Harris? Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Mayor Biss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Chair Nusma.
Aye. By unanimous vote of those present, this meeting is going to resolve into executive session with the Cubs leading by a score of 3-0 in the middle of the first inning. Wow. Thank you, everybody.